Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt exhausted by life? There are moments when we drift like leaves on a river, unsure where we're heading. That's exactly the story of him. A man who once believed in God, prayed with passion, but eventually lost his faith through life's hardships, and lost his mother in a sudden accident. She had been his source of comfort, his example of love and faith. Without her, he felt alone. His job became unstable. Friends drifted away, and life felt like an endless series of dark days. Deep inside, he began to question, God, where are you? Why don't you answer me? Eventually, and let go, the Bible gathered dust on the shelf. Prayers became memories. His faith faded like a light slowly dying in the night. But the truth is, while it turned away, God never did. His love remained. And just when it hit rock bottom, something extraordinary happened. A dream that shook him to his core. One quiet night, and fell asleep without knowing he was about to experience something supernatural. In his dream, he stood in a desolate land, lifeless, dark, and empty. No laughter, no hope, only cries and sound of despair in the distance. Suddenly, the sky opened. A powerful light poured down, brighter than the sun. From above descended a figure in glowing white robes. It was Jesus, radiant with indescribable glory. The crowd below fell silent. Some knelt in tears, others ran in fear, while many stood frozen with shock. Jesus spoke, "The time of my return has come. Those who believe in me shall be saved. Those who reject me will face the consequences." His voice thundered across the sky, shaking and soul. He saw the faithful rise in glory, the humble, the kind, those who live with love. But those who lived in selfishness, coldness, and disbelief were pulled into darkness and was terrified. He wanted to run to Jesus, but couldn't move. He realized he wasn't ready. He had strayed too far from the light. And now that light was standing right in front of him and jolted awake, his forehead drenched in sweat, his heart racing. The room was calm, but something deep inside him had changed. That dream wasn't just a dream. It felt like a divine warning, a wake-up call from heaven itself. He sat in silence, eyes scanning the room until they landed on a dusty Bible on his bookshelf. His hands trembled as he reached for it. When he opened it, his eyes fell on this verse. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven, and the dead in Christ will rise, and we who are alive shall be caught up to meet the Lord in the air. 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 16 to 17. Those words struck his soul. The dream had been a message, and if Jesus returned today, and knew he wouldn't be ready, but still he felt hope. God hadn't given up on him. There was still time, still a chance to return, and he knew what he had to do. He couldn't ignore this call any longer. From that day on, and began a quiet but sincere journey back to faith. No dramatic declarations, no outward show, just a heart turning slowly toward the light. He dusted off his Bible, reading it each night. He began going back to church, sitting quietly in the back pew, letting the sermon soak into his heart like rain on dry soil. He prayed again, at first awkwardly, but eventually with warmth and honesty. He didn't just ask God for things. He thanked him for life, for the chance to begin again, for never leaving him, even when he had walked away, and started helping people. A homeless man on the corner, a struggling neighbor, a lonely classmate. Not for praise, but because he knew that living in faith meant acting in love. And for the first time in years, he felt peace. Not because everything in his life was perfect, but because his soul was finally anchored. Faith was no longer a theory. It became his foundation, his breath, his way of life. And his transformation didn't go unnoticed. Friends, neighbors, even skeptics saw something different in him. He's happier, they whispered. He's kinder. He's always helping people now. One day, someone asked him, "What changed you?" and simply smiled and said, "Because I believe Jesus is coming back. And I don't want to be standing in the dark when he does." That simple sentence sparked something in others. Slowly, they started reflecting, seeking, asking deeper questions, and didn't preach. He didn't pressure. He just lived his faith, and that spoke louder than words. He became a light, not a blinding spotlight, but a steady, guiding glow, a light that helped others find their way back too. Because when you live with true faith, it doesn't just change your life. It ripples outward, changing the lives of those around you. My friends, and story isn't a fairy tale. It's a reflection of so many people today, lost in the noise of life, disconnected from faith, but still deeply loved by a God who waits. Jesus will return. That's not a question, it's a promise. And when he does, for those who believe, it will be a glorious day. But for those who've ignored his call, it will be a day of reckoning. The real question is not, will he come? But rather, will you be ready when he does? If you feel lost, it's not too late to return. If you're weak, pray. If you're strong in faith, keep going and help others along the way. Because when Jesus returns, the truth will surprise many. But for those who live in love and faith, it will be the greatest surprise of all. He's coming. Let's live like it.